Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Our final respondent is Dr. Miguel H. Diaz, the John Courtney Murray University Chair in Public Service here at Loyola. Dr. Diaz was also selected by President Barack Obama as the 9th U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See. Professor Diaz obtained his doctorate in systematic theology from the University of Notre Dame. He's the author of On Being Human, U.S. Hispanic and Rwanerian Perspectives, and co-editor of From the Heart of Our People, Explorations in Catholic Systematic Theology, both from Orbis.
And my colleagues Massimo Faggioli and Melanie Barrett for their presence here this evening with us at Loyola University of Chicago, home of the Ramblers. I want to begin, however, by reminding Massimo that while his university may have won the basketball tournament, the Jesuit Pope was without a shadow of a doubt cheering for the Ramblers. And just in case anyone in this room would dare to doubt this fact, I personally have received classified information containing some very important messages from the Holy Father that I want to make public this evening. So as you can see, the Jesuit Pope not only has the vestments of Loyola University of Chicago in Rome, but was also cheering for the Ramblers along with our sister, Jean. So I just wanted to make that clear. So when you go back to, your world, we are all clear on whose side the Jesuit Pope is on. So now to more perhaps serious matter. Thank you again for your contributions this evening and for your thoughtful remarks on the pontificate of Pope Francis. It is perhaps providential that we gather here this evening having commemorated just yesterday the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. As one of the greatest dreamers of American history, he set before us the dream to end racial inequality and poverty in our nation. Martin Luther King Jr. offers a clear example of the American contribution that affirms freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. He also provides a clear example of faith in public life and the contribution that Christianity can offer to the ongoing experiment for building a more just and humane society in these United States of America. Similar to Martin Luther King, Pope Francis is also a modern-day dreamer. And on his 2015 trip to Cuba and the United States, the Pope shared his dream with two nations that have deeply shaped my own human identity as the child of Cuban-American exiles. I think it is most fitting, given the timing of this event surrounding the tragic assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and the 5th year anniversary of Pope Francis's pontificate, to focus my remarks this evening on the theme of dreaming. I invite all of us to revisit the Pope's dream for our country as it was outlined in his historic speech to Congress. Allow me to highlight 6 specific themes characterizing this dream. 1, on political responsibility. 2, on the nature of political leaders, politics, and society. 3, on guarding against any type of fundamentalism and polarization, whether socially, politically, or religiously motivated. 4, on the positive contribution that religion can make to the public square. 5, on the care of our planet Earth. And 6, and finally, on building bridges, not walls, with our neighbors. First, let us look at what the Pope said with respect to dreams and dreaming, and then I'll let his words speak for themselves when it comes to highlighting his dream for our country, as we continue to remember and enact the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. in our streets, in our states, and in our nation. On dreams and dreaming, the Pope highlighted 4 dreamers that form a part of the United States of America. Abraham Lincoln for his dream of liberty, MLK for his dream of liberty and racial equality, Dorothy Day for her dream of social justice and the rights of persons, especially work-related justice, and Thomas Merton for his interreligious efforts and human self-transcendence. The Pope writes, or addresses Congress in the following words: "These men and women offer us a way of seeing and interpreting reality. In honoring their memory, we are inspired, even amidst conflicts, and in the here and now of each day to draw upon our deepest cultural reserves." End of quote. On dreaming, he says, "Here too I think of the march which Martin Luther King Jr. led from Selma to Montgomery 50 years ago as part of the campaign to fulfill his dream, to full civil and political rights for African Americans. That dream continues to inspire us all. I'm happy that America continues to be, for many, a land of dreams. Dreams which lead to action, to participation, to commitment. Dreams which awaken what is deepest and truest in the life of a people." End of quote. And so now I'd like to turn to the 6 central components of the Pope's dream for the United States of America as he outlined in this historic speech. On political responsibility. Each son or daughter of a given country has a mission, a personal and social responsibility. Your own responsibility as members of Congress is to enable this country by your legislative activity to grow as a nation. You are the face of its people, their representatives. You are called to defend and preserve the dignity of your fellow citizens in that tireless and demanding pursuit of the common good. For this is the chief aim of all politics." End of quote. On the nature of political society, political activity, and political leaders. And I'll highlight the middle quote. "All political activity must serve and promote the good of the human person and be based on and reflect for his or her dignity. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are liberty and the pursuit of happiness. If politics must truly be at the service of the human person, it follows that it cannot be a slave to the economy and finance. Politics is instead the expression of our compelling need to live as one, in order to build as one the greatest common good, that of a community which sacrifices particular interests in order to share in justice and peace its goods, its interests, its social life. I do not underestimate the difficulty that this involves, but I encourage you in this effort." On guarding against fundamentalism, simplistic analysis, and polarization. We must be especially attentive to every type of fundamentalism, whether religious or of any other kind. But there is another temptation we must specially guard against: the simplistic reductionism which sees only good or evil, or if you will, the righteous and the sinners. On the positive contribution of religion to society. In this, our land, the various religious denominations have greatly contributed to building and strengthening society. It is important that today, writes the Pope, as in the past, the voice of faith continue to be heard, for it is a voice of fraternity and love, which tries to bring out the best in each person and in each society. On care of the earth. I am convinced that we can make a difference, and I have no doubt that the United States and this Congress have an important role to play. Now is the time for courageous actions and strategies aimed to implement a culture of care and an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time, protecting nature. This common good also includes the earth, a central theme of the encyclical which I recently wrote in order to enter into dialogue with all people about our common home. On building bridges, not walls, with our neighbors. Our world is facing a refugee crisis of a magnitude not seen since the Second World War. We must not be taken aback by their numbers, but rather view them as persons, seeing their faces and listening to their stories, trying to respond as best we can to their situation, to respond in a way which is always humane, just, and fraternal. We need to avoid a common temptation nowadays to discard whatever proves troublesome. The Pope's dream for the United States echoes the central teachings of his papacy, especially with respect to his vision of relating faith and public life. Dreams, as Pope Francis and Martin Luther King Jr. correctly conclude, must not be left in our bedrooms, but must be taken out into the public and expressed in our boardrooms. Dreams, as Pope Francis argues and as King witnessed, lead to action, to participation, and to commitment to build a more just society. Dreams like those shared with us by King and Pope Francis awaken in us what is deepest and truest in the life of a people. The dreams of these two modern-day prophets propel us to reject human indifferences towards our neighbors, regardless of whether such indifferences stem from prejudices related to race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, physical ability, immigration status, and other similar human experiences. Their dreams invite us to imagine and practice the core of Jesus' teaching, namely the option for the poor and marginalized. As this Jesuit Pope, the child of immigrant parents, and someone who hails from the south of our border, has made crystal clear in word and especially through his deeply symbolic deeds, to care for the poor, the marginalized, the immigrant, and the planet is to care for and offer life to the crucified Christ in our midst. Thank you for your presence here this evening, and welcome again to the home of the Loyola Ramblers.